I would say that, for young people to explore all of it, make sure that you're open to all things, ask questions, be curious.
Hello, I'm Walter Johnson, a member of the Middletown Township Public Library's Public Information Office. As a component of our Women's History Month celebration, joining us today is Middletown Committeewoman Kim Kratz. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Well, wonderful having you here, and I have a number of questions for you.
Sure.
Now, as a lifelong resident of Middletown Township, what are your memories of the earlier days?
I have so many. I would say my most favorite are probably the simplest of them. I remember, as a child going on Saturday mornings with my dad to Channel Lumber. That was a big Saturday event, with him, which was really fun. And also too on summer evenings, playing kickball on Bunker Hill till the streetlights came on. So really simple, wonderful memories of growing up here in the very best of ways.
That sounds great. I remember Channel Lumber. When we first moved down here, that was the only place to go, and it was up in Edison. What are the most significant changes you have seen?
I would say that what always comes to mind for me is after 9/11, I feel like that was such a significant impact to our community that the 37 souls that Middletown lost that day, I feel like was a turning point in our community where it reminded us how important our community is. I saw a difference in the kindness in neighbors, just a stronger sense of community, of helping one another, and just being cognizant of the fact of how precious life really is, and really reminded us all to take a pause and really remember that.
What do you love most about Middletown Township?
There's several things, really. There's so many, but really I love the fact that pretty much my entire life, even though we are 68,000 residents, that I could walk into the ShopRite at any time and run into somebody that I know. So I feel like it's our people. It's the people who live in this town that really truly do make it such a wonderful place to be.
What do you perceive as the future of the township?
I think our future is so bright. We have such strong leadership in our mayor and in the rest of our township committee that work just tirelessly to ensure that we're preserving the way of life that Middletown is accustomed to and what makes it so attractive to live here. We're so fortunate. We're in such a unique place. There's so many things at our fingertips, living here in Middletown. We're a wealth of resource. Our people alone are so talented. We're blessed with the biggest volunteer fire department in the world, which is astounding. Our first responders are amazing. So I think all of those things are just going to continue to have Middletown continue to be such a beautiful place to live and to work and to raise a family, for sure.
What roles have you filled preceding your appointment to the Township Committee?
So I've been thankfully very involved, and I have a wealth of interest in different areas. I've been volunteering for the Middletown Municipal Alliance for Drug and Alcohol Prevention for the past 9 years. I've served as their chairperson for the past 2. Worked really hard to bring different programming for our students in Middletown. It's a free program, it's after school, and that's really our biggest program, was called Project Plus. We've been fortunate to expand it to our 8th grade students along with our 11th grade students this year for the first time. So navigated through COVID, we offered the programs online and virtually for our students, which surprisingly enough, for a student to be online during that time all day and then check back in at 6 o'clock in the evening with us was really a testament to the need that we met for our students, which was very important to me and to really all of the Alliance. I've done a wealth of things. I've taught CCD at St. Mary's for a number of years in the past. I've worked in food pantry, delivered Meals on Wheels. My greatest joy in my heart are my boys. Both of my children are dyslexic, so I all of a sudden had to educate myself and navigate that world, and have advocated for services for families in school who also have special education needs. And that's really been so satisfying, and that's been a blessing to be able to do that for other people.
What are you most proud of accomplishing?
I would say it's, both of those are so near to my heart, both the Alliance and doing the advocacy work for families. So it always seems to come back to children, which is wonderful, and that's I suppose the mom in me. They're my greatest joy. So I would say both of those things would be a tough tie. I think those are both a tie for sure.
How did you get started in local politics? What was your motivation?
When I was in college, I went to Monmouth University, and I had worked on Chris Smith's campaign back then, and that was a number of years ago. And at the time I found it interesting, but wasn't necessarily sure it was something that I would ever aspire to get into. The opportunity arose when our committeewoman at the time, Pat Snell, relocated to another state because of her husband's employment. And that opened up an opportunity and a need for somebody to fill the need. So I had thrown my hat in the ring just to see what it would be like. I was pretty jazzed about the idea that I would have an opportunity to influence, be an influencer in town with different policy and decision making, and be able to expand programs like the Alliance and other things that are close to my heart that benefit the community. And my boys were at a good age. They were, they're older teenagers and young adults and independent. So it was the time. It was the time for sure.
What motivated you to serve on the Township Committee?
I would say I've in my volunteer life, I always call it my volunteer life, I have a large satisfaction in being of service. And some people think, maybe don't think that way, but for me, I take a lot of pleasure and a lot of joy in fulfilling that role for people. And to me, for the Township Committee, it was just a beautiful opportunity to be able to do that on a larger scale for sure.
Have you faced adversity in your career?
No, as a woman, I've been very fortunate. I had graduating college. I had worked in, for different corporations, and then for the past 20 plus years, I've worked for my family CPA practice. My father for my father, and we also have a registered investment advisory practice. So for those two things, I've worked for my dad, and then I'm also a partner in another small business. My husband and I own a home improvement business. So for both of those things, I've been very fortunate, both fairly male-driven fields at this point, especially on the construction side. And early on, I was swinging the hammer with him, which was really quite fun. And sometimes that was unexpected to people. They didn't really see a woman in that role per se. But I'm thankful to report that I really haven't had much, which is, I think, a testament to the times. We've come so far, and there's plenty of women who've paved the way for women like me also.
Was there a female role model who inspired you?
So interestingly enough, I would absolutely without hesitation say my own mother. It actually happens to be her birthday today. So, but I've been so fortunate and blessed. My mother has been a beautiful example of what a mother is, and how kind and caring a mother should be, and is strong disciplinarian. My mother's really teeny, and she's Italian and feisty, but has such a beautiful heart and a generous heart. And she has taught all of us what it means to be part of a family and part of community, and donating your time and how important that is. So I would certainly say my mother first, and then our family is really quite, it's interesting. My aunt, and my great aunt, is Alice Tomaso. So Tommaso Plaza here in town, so is dedicated in her honor. And she was an advocate and was very involved in social services at the county level, and the building is named after her in her honor. So I'm very pleased to be actually a commissioner on the Housing Authority. I was appointed through the mayor's appointment for this year, so I'm pleased to serve in that regard. And I'm hopeful that in her heart, in heaven, that she's happy to see a family member honor her that way also.
What advice do you have for young people, especially young women, to follow in your footsteps?
I honestly, I'm flattered that it would be asked that way, but I really don't consider myself to be any different than most. I meet many people throughout this work and throughout my time at Township Committee, and even before that are so selfless in giving their time and their talent. I would say that, for young people to explore all of it, make sure that you're open to all things, ask questions, be curious. I'm a lifelong learner. I love to, learn different things. If I don't know it, I'm willing to take the time and try to understand it. And I think sometimes we fall short if you think that maybe you're not capable or you're simply not proficient straight away. So then it's a kind of an easy give up. And I hate to see that, truthfully. So I would say, be curious, ask questions, and be willing to put yourself out there.
To take it one step further, what advice do you have for young women who wish to make a difference in our world?
I would also say that probably being a good listener is by far one of the most important qualities. I think so often I've been in a room full of people who are quite impressed with themselves, who just want to hear themselves speak. And I think that's just such a mistake. I think that if you're willing to be the person that takes a step back and is willing to listen and appreciate all that's said and take in every opinion and formulate your own, I think you're in a far better position. I think there you have to be, being able to bend and not be so structured and so strict and think that there are, other opinions in the world that aren't valid because they aren't your own. I think you have to be, open to all. So I would say the biggest one is the listening, for sure. And I always say too, be kind. It doesn't take a lot, it doesn't have to be these grand gestures and these grand opportunities. So often in our day, we're presented with a small, wonderful, beautiful opportunities to be kind or to be helpful. And I would just like to have, hopefully see myself included, be open to appreciate and recognize those too.
Thank you, Kimberly, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. We've learned a great deal about you and your relationship to Middletown. It's been a pleasure having you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's really been wonderful. This library is a special place for me too. So I remember many times I would come here, as a student, would study for tests and do projects, and I was teasing my boys saying that it's really quite different, no more card catalogs. So I'm dating myself, but it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.